squeeze proves we're the fresh guys.
For balanced nutrition, Mom chose soft, delicious Wonder Bread.
You'll be glad you did.
White, fluffy, and sliced so perfectly that it became the symbol of modern American life. Wonder Bread wasn't just bread. It was marketed as a miracle. But behind the soft crust and cheerful packaging lies a darker story. One filled with corporate manipulation, shady science, and a nation's obsession with the so-called perfect loaf. This is the story of the dark and seedy origins of Wonder Bread. Welcome to Behind the Menu. Today we're going to pull back the wrapper on one of America's most famous breads. You've seen it in school lunches, on grocery shelves, in TV commercials boasting about vitamins and softness. But few people know that the story of Wonder Bread is as much about industrial power and public perception as it is about flour and yeast. And what you're about to hear may just change the way you look at your sandwich forever. The year was 1921. America had just emerged from World War I. Cities were booming, factories were expanding, and food companies were racing to industrialize what people ate. The Taggart Baking Company in Indianapolis unveiled a product that looked almost magical. A snow-white loaf of bread wrapped in colorful balloons. They called it Wonder Bread. The selling point? Convenience. Unlike the rustic loaves baked at home or bought fresh from the local bakery, Wonder Bread was mass-produced, shelf-stable, and, soon, pre-sliced. When it hit the market, people marveled at the uniform slices, so much so that the phrase, "the best thing since sliced bread," was born. But behind the cheerful branding, this loaf wasn't created just to feed families. It was designed to change how America ate forever, and to steer people away from their neighborhood bakeries into the hands of massive corporations. Now here's where it gets seedy, or perhaps unseedy. You see, traditional bread is made from whole grains, wheat with all its fiber, nutrients, and flavor intact. But Wonder Bread wasn't about tradition. It was about refinement. To create that bright white color and soft texture, companies stripped wheat of its bran and germ, removing much of its nutrition. This wasn't an accident. It was intentional. White bread looked cleaner, lasted longer, and was easier to mass produce. But what people were eating was essentially starch with little nutritional value. Critics at the time blasted white bread as the staff of death, accusing companies of selling food that filled stomachs but starved bodies. Medical journals warned of malnutrition. Immigrant communities especially mocked white bread, calling it fake and tasteless compared to their hearty rye or sourdough loaves. But Wonder Bread's creators had an answer: marketing, and lots of it. In the 1940s, the US government faced a health crisis. Malnutrition was widespread, and young men drafted for World War II often failed basic physical exams. Wonder Bread, and companies like it, saw an opportunity. With heavy government backing, bread makers began enriching white bread with vitamins like iron, niacin, and thiamine. Suddenly, the same loaf that had been criticized as empty calories was advertised as a health product. And who was the loudest cheerleader? Wonder Bread. Through radio jingles, posters, and later TV ads, Wonder Bread promised that eating it would build strong bodies 12 ways. For many families, this was irresistible. The message was clear: feed your kids Wonder Bread, and you're doing your duty as a parent, even a patriot. But here's the twist. While enrichment did improve nutrition on paper, it didn't undo the fact that most of the bread's natural goodness had been stripped away in the first place. The miracle loaf was less of a miracle and more of a carefully engineered image. Wonder Bread wasn't just a food product. It was a corporate weapon. Backed by industrial baking giants like Continental Baking Company, Wonder Bread's expansion pushed thousands of small, independent bakeries out of business. Americans, once used to buying fresh, hearty loaves baked that morning, now relied on packaged, factory-made bread shipped across the country. This wasn't just about taste, it was about control. By centralizing bread production, a few corporations shaped what millions of Americans ate every single day. And let's not forget the aggressive advertising campaigns targeting children. Bright balloons, catchy jingles, TV mascots, all designed to hook the next generation on factory bread. By the 1950s, Wonder Bread wasn't just bread, it was a cultural icon. So what do we make of Wonder Bread today? On the surface, it's nostalgia. Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, lunch boxes, and after-school snacks. But underneath, it represents the industrialization of the American diet. A product sold as progress, but built on stripping away tradition, flavor, and nutrition. Wonder Bread's dark and seedy origins remind us that food history isn't always wholesome. Sometimes it's about power, profit, and perception. And as you take your next bite of that perfectly sliced sandwich, remember, what's wrapped in bright balloons may not be as innocent as it seems. This has been Behind the Menu. If you enjoyed this deep dive into food history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Because next time we'll unwrap another dish that changed America in ways you never imagined.